So during the hearing of Michael Cohen, Representative Jim Jordan, along with Mark Meadows, basically took point in questioning Cohen and mainly trying to attack his character. Now, during his questioning of Cohen, Jim Jordan started going after Cohen for some of his crimes, the crimes, of course, that he had admitted to and also, had pled guilty for, and accused him of being disloyal to President Trump. Now, I want to show you that video before I get to my analysis and reaction. But before I do that, I just want to tell you that the whole reason that he is doing this is because the plan is to make, this is the GOP plan, is to make Cohen an untrustworthy witness against Donald Trump, to invalidate anything that he testifies on, because they can point to him and say, what a liar. He is a lying liar. He is, he's untrustworthy. He's disloyal. You can't trust anything he says. And so if he says that Donald Trump did criminal things, well, then he's obviously lying. So with that in mind, let's show you the video here.
I just gave you a 30-minute opening statement, and you have a history of lying over and over and over again. And frankly, you don't take my word for it. Take what the court said. Take what the Southern District of New York said. Cohen did crimes that were marked by a pattern of deception and that permeated his professional life. These crimes were distinct in their harms, but bear a common set of circumstances. They each involved deception and were each motivated by personal greed and ambition. A pattern of deception for personal greed and ambition. And you just got 30 minutes of an opening statement where you trashed the President of the United States of America. Mr. Cohen, how long did you work for Donald Trump?
Approximately a decade.
10 years?
That's correct.
And you said all these bad things about the President there in that last 30 minutes, and yet you worked for him for 10 years? All those bad things, I mean, if it's that bad, I can see you working for him for 10 days, maybe 10 weeks, maybe even 10 months. But you worked for him for 10 years. Mr. Cohen, how long did you work in the White House?
I never worked in the White House.
And that's the point, isn't it, Mr. Cohen?
No, sir.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not, sir.
You wanted to work in the White House.
No, sir.
You didn't get brought to the dance.
Sir.
Oh, I love the projection here, right? Oh, you didn't get a job in the White House. You wanted a job in the White House. No, you didn't. No, actually being Donald Trump's personal lawyer and fixer actually made him a lot more money than he could ever work in the White House. And not only that, but more, I guess to some people, personal prestige. I don't know what's so prestigious about working for Donald Trump. But then again, I'm not like insane. There are some people, Cohen included, that considered the opportunity of working as President Trump's personal lawyer and fixer to be a dream come true. And so that's where he's at. But Jim Jordan's saying, you didn't get a job in the White House, so now you're lying. Really? That's your defense. That's your defense. I love it because it's absolutely hilarious. And it's just completely insane of an argument, right? How long did you work for President Trump? 10 years. Why would you work for somebody like that? Well, he said that he worked for him, even with all of that, because he had a sense of loyalty. And that's what, of course, Donald Trump wants you to do. He wants you to be 100% loyal to him, and then in return for, loyalty back, or at least one would assume. But then again, Trump is a narcissist. I think he's got a sociopathic tendencies. And so it's one of those things where you kind of get sucked into that cult of personality around Trump. And I think that's what a lot of people around him end up falling into. Anyway, so now that's awesome. So let's go to social media, right? They were not buying this. They were not buying Jim Jordan's argument. And so I'm going to read a few tweets here. Let's start with Sam Cedar. Sam Cedar, part of the TYT network, right? So now he says, quote, Jim Jordan seems better at not reporting child predators than asking questions of witnesses. And of course, it's in reference to some of the trouble that Jim Jordan might have gotten into during his college, no, maybe not college wrestling, but when he was a college coach. So now there's more. Empty Wheel says, shorter Jim Jordan, what kind of sleazebag would you have to be to defend someone like Donald Trump? You know, that argument doesn't actually look good for Donald Trump. And the more the Republicans hammered on that, by the way, they hammered on that, Donald Trump's such a terrible person. Michael Cohen is such a horrible, terrible, lying, sleazy, awful person. And so what kind of person hires that kind of awful, terrible, horrible, lying, sleazy person? That's a good question. Look, I said before, the lying and stuff, that's not a bug. It's the feature. That's the whole point of hiring someone like Michael Cohen. Because you yourself are a terrible person and you surround yourself with terrible people that are willing to do your bidding. That can sometimes be illegal. There's more. Cy Hirsch says, the only thing Cohen didn't do well was tell Jim Jordan that is, quote, someone who also covers up for their coworkers' abusive behavior, I thought you'd be more sympathetic to me. Now, of course, that's what Jim Jordan had allegedly done, covered up for a coach, a coworker of his. Jess Dweck says, it's a refreshing change to see Jim Jordan abuse an adult. Oh. Nicole Perez says, Miss Plaskett is me listening to Jim Jordan during the Michael Cohen testimony. Ann Coulter weighed in. Now, that's interesting, right? So Ann Coulter is somebody who wrote a book called In Trump We Trust, right? In Trump We Trust. She is now going after Trump. And she said, GOP might want to drop the argument that working in Trump's White House is some sort of Xanadu, the absence of which caused Cohen to declare war on the president. This was a plea bargain. Idiots. Look, Ann, your entire side is full of idiots. What do you expect? These people, Jim Jordan, Mark Meadows, are basically playing the role of Michael Cohen. The role that Michael Cohen had to abdicate after he had got caught with his hand in the cookie jar. That's what happened here. Pradeep Shankar says, Jordan did a great job showing the sleazy guy, worked for another sleazy guy for a decade. Julian Sanchez says, Jim Jordan is trying, quote, everyone is lying about Trump because they didn't get the job they wanted. I can't think of any previous administration where this is how people reacted to not getting administration jobs. That's a good point, because there are a lot of people that didn't get administration jobs in previous administrations, and nothing like this happened. Why? Because this administration is different. This administration actually is like the Nixon administration. That's what it's most parallel to, and what it's most like. And so we see this, right? Ben says Jim Jordan's narrative attempt was stupid. There's plenty of low-hanging fruit, dishonest motivations he could have assigned to Cohen, and he chose the least likely one, him getting a job in the White House. Because it says, as I said before, he already had the job that is closest to Donald Trump. Liz Mayer says, maybe it's just an effort to portray himself as so effing dumb that he couldn't possibly have known of any potential wrestler sex abuse at OSU while coaching there. As of late last year, DOJ was going to look at how athletic sex abuse allegations were handled. An interesting defense. Juan Carlos Planas says, when did we get to hear from poor kids who molested as wrestlers by their doctor at Ohio State when Jim Jordan was their coach and didn't report the abuse? Another good question. And then finally, Ferdinand R. Amandi says, question. You know which person I'd never ever wish, even on my worst enemy, to be their legal counsel? Answer Jim Jordan. Look, man, this was embarrassing for Meadows and Jordan. But you saw what they were trying to do. The whole purpose was to muddy the waters. The whole purpose was to paint Cohen as someone who is a liar and a snake. And look, let's be honest. We know he's a liar. We know he's a liar. We know he's a terrible person. But here's the one thing that they're missing. Michael Cohen has nothing left to lose. Nothing. And that's it. He is down to where he has already lost everything. There's no real point for him to not be honest about this. He's already taken his punishment. It's not like Paul Manafort. Now, Paul Manafort is someone who has, yes, he is also in the process of losing everything. But yet, you can tell he is still in favor of Donald Trump. He is still helping Donald Trump, and he has still been lying for him. So that is in direct contrast to Michael Cohen, who I think at this point really just wants to be done with this whole thing. He has lost everything, as I said before. He's been dragged. And again, he deserves it because he is a terrible person and he deserves to get jail time. But at the same time, there is nothing left for him to gain and nothing left for him to lose. So there's just, why not be honest with it? And I think that's what's going on here, is he is being honest. And the Republicans, people like Jim Jordan, Mark Meadows, and a lot of the Trump supporters, they don't want to hear that anymore because it's damaging. And of course, projection, right? Because we know a lot of these Republicans want good White House spots and want to continue to suck up to power in the hopes that they get power. So, hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent, progressive media.